So today we are going to learn how to access a content provider in Android applications. Right. So in this lecture, we'll be typically looking for how to design a content provider for your application. If you have a requirement in your application in such a way that you want to provide your own data to the other applications, right? In most of the application, you will not be providing your data to the other application, but you will be using the data of other applications. All right. So in the case of phone book application, so if you have a requirement that you want to get access to the contacts of phone book application, so how will you get the data of that contact phone book applications? All right. So just like that, how you can go ahead with developing and designing of content providers. So before going to cover the content provider, we just need to learn the basics, why the content providers are required. So basically, when we are going to develop the application, so we will be having Java classes, binary files, zip files, database files, Android manifest file, right? So and this file, as we know that Android is using Linux kernel. All right. Into the Linux kernel, as we know that Linux kernel is a multi-user environment, right? So each and every user will be given a unique identity number. All right. And based on that unique identity, that Linux kernel will identify you, that user. So just like that, when we are going to install any application into the Android system, as we know that it is the base of the Android system is Linux kernel. So in Linux kernel Linux will assign a unique ID to that particular application, and that particular application, that Android application, and each and every files which are inside that application will be using that unique ID only. All right, just like this. So what happened? Whatever files you have designed for your application, any binary files, class files, Android manifest file, zip file, SQL file, any database file, all are sharing a unique identity, right? Unique UID, because your Android application is given a unique ID by your Linux kernel. So when you are going, so what happened? As we know that if there are multiple user of Linux OS, so one user cannot get access to the files used by the other user, right? Because it will not have access to that UID. It needs that password. So just like that, in Android application, an Android system, if you have multiple Android applications, so each and every application will be having a unique UID. So one application will not have access to the content of the other application. All right, could you get it? So what happened, if you have one requirement to share your own data to the other application, in the sense you need to give access to the other application to your own files, right? But if you, as we know that if we are using our if you are using our application, it will be having unique ID, and it will be having only each and every files into the Android application will be only all files will be having the Unix permission 600. All right, 600, that is read write executable permission. All right. So what happened? Read write permission, in the sense it is used for the user, group, and outsiders. All right. So who is the user of these files? Your Android applications, because your Android application is containing the files, right? And each and every file will be having a 600 permission. So only that application can use those files, not outsiders, not the others, right? So if you want to give the access to your files to the outsiders, you need to change the permissions. Alright, are you getting it? So you need to change the permission of your own files, and if you are going to give the you are going to change the permissions to 655, that means world writable permissions, or 644. So that in that sense, each and every application can change your content, right? Each and every application can. So that will be also a problem of security. In the sense that any application can change your application content. So there is one mechanism is required for the permissions to get access to your application's content. Alright. So that mechanism is content provider. We will be using that one. We will be using one interface. So if other applications want to get access to our application's content, they must define the permissions to get access to our application's data by using content provider. Alright. So what happened here? Here we can consider that these are the other applications. So they will be not having a directly access to our own application package APK file. Alright. So because each and every application will be having a unique UID, right, into the Android system. In other words, into the Linux kernel. Alright. So, and if you want to change the permission of your files of your application, so each and every application can access to that to those files to which you have changed the permissions. So there may be a security problems, because without knowing, without concerning your own application, each and every application can change that things. So we need to provide the interface in terms of content provider. Alright. So if you have a requirement in your application that you want to provide other application get access to your data, so you just implement the content provider. So what will you do? You will specify one interface, and you will specify some permissions. Alright. Permissions in terms of read permissions or write permissions, and you will specify the path of your data, in the sense path of your files, which files you want to share to the other applications, not each and every files, right? So what will you do? You will specify the permissions, you will specify the path in terms of, you can say, is a URI, right? And you will specify the name of the permissions. So what happens here, when you are going to so you need to implement these 3 or 4 things, just like permissions, path of your data, and other things that all other applications must define those permissions. So what happens here, if whatever permissions you have defined, and if the other applications are not defining those permissions, so they will not get access to your application's data. And the other applications, those who has specified this permission into their Android manifest.xml file, they can get access to your application's data. Alright. So you need to specify the permissions into the Android manifest.xml file. Suppose you have specified your permissions in your Android manifest in the application, which application you are going to develop. Alright. So suppose you have a requirement to share your database to the other application. So what will you do? You will specify the permission into the Android manifest file. Alright. And these permissions will be given a name as read-write permissions or any executable permissions. Alright. And now on the other hand, if the other applications apart from your applications, alright, if they want to get access to your data, so they must specify this permissions name under uses-permission tag in their Android manifest.xml file. Alright. So the difference here, the applications who want to share their data to the other applications, they will use permission tag. Alright. Permission tag in their Android manifest.xml file. And the applications those who want to get access to the data of our application. All right, other applications, those who want to get access to the data of our application, in the sense the application who want to share its data. So in those applications, Android manifest.xml file will specify the uses permissions. All right, tag uses dash permission tag, you will use this tag into their XML file. So if the permissions matches, right, in the term of permission matches, then the applications who can match their permission, only those can get access to your application, not outsiders. All right. So this is one wall you are going to create in between accessing your giving access to your database. That wall can be said as that wall can be told as a provider, content provider. All right. So what happens here when you are going to implement a content provider? In most of the applications, you are not going to use a content provider. All right, but in the most of the cases you are going to use the data of other applications. So the applications those who are going to share their data, they will implement the content provider, and the applications those who are going to use the data of other applications, they will implement a content resolver. All right. Keep this in your mind, that the applications, I'm again repeating, the applications those who are going to provide their data to the other applications, they will implement the content provider, and the applications those are going to access the other applications data, they will implement the content resolver. All right. So here what we are going to do, see, if you are going to define a content provider for your applications, so we will be writing a class P that must extend the content provider. All right, and inside there is the abstract class. So inside that you will be implementing 6 abstract methods. These abstract methods must be defined and designed by the developer of that applications. All right, the applications is going to share their data. All right, and they must specify the provider tag inside their Android manifest.xml file with the permissions, with the name of the content provider class, with the authorities will give you the path. All right, and which are the permissions they are going to mention for that must be specified to the Android manifest.xml file of the other applications. All right, so these are the permissions, read permissions and write permissions, as I told you. Right. This permission must be specified under uses dash permission tag inside the applications Android manifest.xml file. Those applications which are going to share your data. Sorry, those applications which are going to access your data. All right. So now the things will work like this. So this is in the left rectangle. This is your Android applications. Who is going to share its data, right? Now on the right side rectangle, you can observe that there is an accessing application. So inside that accessing applications, in one activity file, you will be writing your content resolver, right? As I told you, that the applications those who are going to access the other applications data, they will implement a content resolver. All right. Any doubt? Okay. And the applications those who are going to share their data, they will use content provider. So here in the Android manifest.xml file of the accessing application, you must specify the permissions. All right. On the first red rectangle, you can observe that one. These permissions we have specified into the content provider. Right, last way we have seen. Here we have specified. Right. So this permission must be implemented by the accessing application, and they must be specified by the Android manifest.xml file. Now after writing these permissions, we will be getting access to the data of the other applications. All right. So we must have a content resolver object. All right. So this object we will be this object, after getting this object, we will specify the path name of the database of which application, the database of the application which we are going to access. Alright, that in terms of the authority. Alright, this authority we have specified here. Alright, and this is a second attribute of the provider type. So we will specify the path. Alright, the file which the Android application is going to share. So these things, as we know that content resolver object will be used to get access to the database of the other application. That means it will be going to implement the four basic queries: query, insert, update, and delete. So this method implementation you have written into the content provider class of the application who is going to share its data, as we have seen in the last slide. See, here we have specified, right, class P extend content provider. These are the abstract methods, and this must be designed and developed by the developer. Alright, so this is how your content provider and content resolver works. So content provider will be implemented by the applications who are going to share their data, and the content resolver will be implemented by the applications who are going to access the data of other applications. So here you can observe that the content provider, how the content provider has been implemented in the applications who are going to share the data. The methods and the data variable must be implemented by in the same way by the content resolver object. Alright, then then they can get access to the data of the other applications. So this is how your sharing will work. So what content provider will do internally, it will change the permissions of the files of your applications. Alright, so suppose you want to share the file of your application to the other applications. So if you have implemented a content provider, it will internally change the permissions of those files. So other application will not get directly access to that files. Alright, and as we know that content provider is one type of application component. Alright, so what happens here, it must be implemented by the intent. We can also do like that. So what happened, the left rectangular is the Android application who is going to share their data, and the right side is the application is going to use those data. So we specify the URI of those URI of that data and the into the action, into the intent object. Alright, and you must specify the intent filter. Alright, as we know for the intent filter is just used to match the application to the intent object. Alright, so if your Android system, if you are throwing an intent object to the Android system, your Android system will what your Android system will do, it will identify the applications which are installed into the device. It will search for the compatible intent filter into the each and every application Android manifest.xml file. It will match, and it will perform the actions accordingly to that particular applications. Alright, so this is suppose you must have specified that action, suppose it is instead of action edit, suppose it is action view, and you must specify the URI .parse something, the web browser, and if this intent is thrown to the Android system, so Android system will look at for the intent filter for each and every applications Android manifest.xml file for the action view. Alright, so just like that, here it will be finding for the action.edit, and it will go for the edit option. Alright, so just like that we will be using the accessing the provider data indirectly with the intents. Alright, now in each and every Android system there will be a user dictionary table. Alright, user dictionary in the sense, suppose some words could not be found on the dictionary, your Android device will give you option to save your own word, right? you may have observed that suppose you are writing some words to your SMS, and if that word is not found into the dictionary, so your SMS application will give you an option to save that particular unique word which has been typed by you, right? So what happened that so if that word, if you have saved that word into that applications, so that will be saved into the database. Alright, so when you are again going to type that word, it will automatically, that if the dictionary is enabled into the when you are typing the SMS, it will automatically take that words, right? So that whatever word you have typed, that will be saved into the user dictionary table. Alright, and that is not the private database to your SMS applications. After saving that word into the SMS application, if you are going to write a note into the note applications, that word can also be found there, right? So if you are going to type an email into the email composing into the email client, so whatever word you have saved into the SMS application, that can also be found into the mail client, right? So that means this user dictionary is common to each and every application. Alright, so so that those applications are getting access to this common database. Alright, so this will be implemented by the content provider. Alright, because each and every content provider and those applications who are getting access to this user dictionary table, they will implement a content resolver. Alright, so what happened here is, this is the table of your user dictionary table. So here you just observe that column names and rows, right? So here what happened, and this is content. So when you are going to implement the content resolver, you must specify the path of the database, right? So here you must specify the path in terms of the authority, just like the user underscore dictionary is the table name of this table. Alright, so you must specify the instead of authority. Alright, after that what will you provide? We will provide the column name as a word. Alright, and underscore ID equal to 3. So what happened, when you are passing this content to the content resolver, alright, this is a complete URI, alright, URI of your data. And when you are passing as a parameter to the content resolver object, what will happen? It will enable to edit this third line. Alright, it can execute the queries on this table. It can execute the update, insert, or any edit option on this third line. So what happened here? What will you do? You will here we have used content.uri.withAppendID, and we have passed the content URI, right, as a first parameter. The third parameter is a row value. Alright, so what happened, this thing you will be passing as a to the content resolver. Alright, so here the column name underscore ID will be identified by the user dictionary dot words dot underscore ID. Just like that, each and every column will be identified by this constant value. Alright, so here if you are passing this URI, what happened, it will be user dictionary dot words dot content URI. That means is a complete path of your user dictionary table. Alright, and comma 3, that means you are specifying the row ID. Alright, and this will be using for the content resolver object. Alright, if you are specifying this URI as a content resolver object, you can do anything what you want to with the third row of this dictionary table. Alright, but before that, before using this content resolver, you must specify the permissions to get access to this table, right? That permissions must be specified into the Android manifest.xml file. So this is a brief introduction to your content provider and content resolver. So what happened here, the applications which are going to provide their own data to the other applications, they must specify the provider, alright, in their android.manifest.xml file. Are you getting? So what happened here, here we will be specifying the permissions, right? read permissions, write permissions. These permissions must be specified under uses dash permissions inside the Android manifest.xml file of the other applications. Those we are going to access your data, right? And the path permission you must also specify. So suppose you have path permission in the sense that suppose you have out of a group of 5 files, you are only going to share the 3 files. All right. Suppose you have 5 files in one application, and you want to share only 3 files. So you must specify the permissions for those 3 files, not each and every files. All right. So that is given as a path permission. So if you specify if you explicitly specify the file name of those file name of that file, who is going to who we are going to share that file to the other application. So you must specify the read permission, write permission of that particular file independently here. All right. And it is used now it is a grant URI permission. So whatever URI object you will make into the content resolver, that must be grant a URI permission. That can be specified here also. Alright. Now this must be specified into the Android manifest.xml file of the applications, those who are going to access the data of the applications, other applications. Alright. So this must be specified into the Android manifest.xml file of the applications who are going to access the data. Alright. And provider must be implemented by the applications, those who are going to share their data. Alright. So here permission, see, as you know that, see here what we have specified, see here we have specified the permission, right? com.permission.rw_data is just like that, read data and write data. So this permission must be specified under uses permission tag into the applications Android manifest.xml file of those who are going to use this data. Alright. Otherwise they will not get permission to use your data. Alright. And just like that, yeah, so now I think it's clear to you that the applications, those who are going to share the data, they will use content provider, and the applications, those who are going to access the data, they will use content resolver. Alright. And how to get the content resolver object? So the first rectangular block is used to get access to the content resolver object. Alright. And to implement the whatever method that has been implemented your content resolver object, those methods are the same as the database objects. Alright. Those methods are the same methods that will be implemented by the database part of your application. So if the database is still not covered for you guys, but if you are going to use a database for your applications, you will use the same methods, query, insert, update and delete. Because if you are going to use a database, you will be only having 4 basic queries, right? Query, insert, update and delete. Query is a select query, right? And the same thing you will be implementing here. So the thing is is a match between going to share your data. So what will you do? You will just create a tunnel between two applications. Alright, by using a content provider and a content resolver. At the one end it is content resolver, and the second end is a content provider. So you will create one type of tunnel. Alright, that is the secure tunnel, or we can say that the permitted tunnel to get access to the data of the other application. Alright, so after establishing this tunnel, what will you do? You will because as you are going to access the database part of the other applications, what the manipulation you can perform on the database? Only you can implement the queries, right? Or you can implement the other some file operations. So those file operations you can also specify like that. So this is how your content provider and content resolver works. Alright, do you have any questions? Okay. So this is just a basic introduction about how the content provider can be work. Alright, so now I think it's clear in your mind that how when should you use a content provider or when should you use content resolver. Right, so when suppose you have a requirement in your application that you want to get access to the phone book database of your application. Alright, so suppose you are writing your SMS sending application. So what will you do? Because how will you send the SMS? By using the contacts, right, of your phone book. But if your phone book has already your phone book is already have some data, right, of your friends. So how will you get access to this data? By using content resolver. Alright, so content provider will automatically is already implemented by the phone book application. Content provider is automatically has been implemented by the phone book applications. But those applications who want to get access to this phone book data, they must implement a content resolver. Alright, so if you go to the developer.android.com, you will be having a two type of applications, all common applications. Those you are going to access the calendar events or phone book data. Alright, so there you can find the different methods how to get access to the phone book data as well as calendar data. Alright, so this is what your today's webinar was intended to give you a brief introduction. Right? Alright. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Okay, no problem. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Okay, yeah.